The 1920s were a time of booming industrial and economic growth for the United States. However, the stock market crash of 1929 sent the country into the Great Depression. Subsequently, in the 1930s, United States labor was defined by mass unemployment, poverty, and drastic reductions in industrial production. By 1933, the unemployment rate peaked at nearly 13 million, about 25% of the workforce. For the remaining American workers who had jobs, conditions were not ideal. They faced limited rights and were subjected to unsafe or unfair working conditions. Laborers often worked for as little as 20 cents an hour, 10 to 12 hours a day, 6 days a week. Attempts to improve these conditions fell short, and a new breed of activists emerged from these efforts. In the fall of 1932, labor rights activist Myles Horton co-founded the Highlander Folk School in Monteagle, Tennessee, with fellow activist Don West and Methodist minister James A. Dombrowski. Myles Horton grew up poor in Tennessee, having to work as a laborer at the young age of 15. This led him to develop a perspective on the disparity between wealth and poverty in the South. He believed the poor were exploited by the wealthy and the wage system was one-sided. To quote Myles Horton, "It was very unjust for somebody to have to work so hard and get so little, and for somebody else to have so much." This perspective sparked his desire to create an environment where laborers could learn to speak up for themselves. From this, the Highlander Folk School was born. Unlike most modern schools, the students at Horton's Highlander Folk School were adults, not children. The purpose of the school was to educate laborers on how to fight for their rights. Labor activists were brought in to educate the students in labor organizing, citizenship, desegregation, communication, and nonviolent protest. This provided a collaborative learning environment where workers could share their experiences and help each other develop leadership skills. The school was revolutionary in its approach. The Highlander Folk School's focus was not limited to laborers. Educators also included crucial training and a meeting place for civil rights activists. Classes to help literacy, voter registration, and even financial and banking skills were taught. Workshops were hosted at the school where African American and white activists came together to fight for racial equality, to learn tactics for desegregation such as sit-ins, boycotts, and freedom rides. One of history's most famous activists, Rosa Parks, attended the Highlander Folk School for a 2-week desegregation workshop in August of 1955, just months before her famous Montgomery bus boycott, in which she refused to give up her seat on a bus in Montgomery, Alabama. This pivotal civil rights movement in history was influenced by her training at the school. As the Highlander Folk School grew in popularity, it faced mixed reactions from different communities. They were met with strong backlash from segregationists, politicians, and law enforcement who saw the school's work as a threat to the racial and social order of the South. This included threats to the school and its leadership, accusations of communism, raids, and investigations. The FBI was monitoring all school events in hopes of discovering illegal activity. These investigations eventually led to the revocation of the school's charter in 1961 due to discovery by law enforcement of the sale of alcohol without a permit. The Highlander School was selling beer to its employees so they would not have to go out in public and risk being attacked. Though the Highlander School's charter was revoked, it remained an active education center. It continued to strive for racial equality and therefore was seen by some to have undermined the racial order in Tennessee. This made it a target for white supremacist groups. People who attended the Highlander School were threatened, harassed, and even injured by segregationists. In 1966, 50 members of the Ku Klux Klan marched to the front of the Highlander Research and Education Center, protesting against their continuing to educate civil rights activists. This protest was originally supposed to be a motorcade, but the mayor vetoed it, although he couldn't stop them from protesting. Despite the negative backlash, the school managed to educate many civil and labor rights activists who spread the Highlander School's teachings across America. As part of their community building exercises, the students and teachers sang civil rights and folk songs. The school popularized freedom songs such as We Shall Overcome and This Little Light of Mine. These songs brought people together in a time when a sense of community was crucial. Guy and Candy Carawan were two of the South's most influential folk artists, making songs known around the world.
We would have workshops that would bring together the song leaders from different communities to sing and to teach their songs and to take the songs back to the South. So it was a really important role in spreading the music. It wasn't the only way music spread, but it was an important one because it made you feel safe and it made you feel powerful.
No matter the outcome, the people of the Highlander Folk School persevered, fighting for their rights and those of the people around them. Despite major backlash from communities across the South, the Highlander Folk School was successful in advancing labor and civil rights from the 1930s to the 1960s and beyond. After the school was founded in 1932, the first major accomplishment was becoming a training ground for labor unions, coal miners, textile workers, and farmers, developing its signature popular education method. This method is a participatory, community-centered approach to learning, in which ordinary people share their experiences to identify problems and solutions together. Into the 1940s, the school continued to serve as a regional hub for Southern workers, union leaders, and community activists. In its early years, the main focus was on supporting labor rights. However, in the 1950s, the spotlight pivoted to civil rights as segregation laws intensified. In the 1950s, the school began to train civil rights activists, including the mother of civil rights, Rosa Parks, Congressman John Lewis, civil rights icon Diane Nash, and American minister James Bevel. These activists made a significant impact on the civil rights movement, leading to the end of segregation. There were specific impacts that came from the activists trained at the school. This included reform in transportation from the Montgomery bus boycott, which ended bus segregation, reform in voting rights, as they were the grassroots force behind the Voting Rights Act of 1965, by teaching African American adults literacy to vote and advocate for themselves. Reform in school desegregation, by training organizers to petition school boards and force compliance with the Brown v. Board of Education case of 1954. Reform in public accommodations, which led to the Civil Rights Act of 1964, where trained activists organized sit-ins, freedom rides, and peaceful protests. The school was at the height of its success in the 1950s and 1960s until, in 1961, the state of Tennessee revoked the school's charter and forcibly shut down the school and its property, leading Miles Horton and his supporters to reorganize and relocate the school. Without a charter, the school transformed into an education center, where it would continue to make an impact on the community. Into the 1970s, as the momentum of the civil rights movement began to shift, Highlander turns its attention to the struggles of everyday people in Appalachia. The organization moved away from its earlier efforts and began supporting grassroots efforts to fight strip mining, protect the land and health of mountain communities, and stand up for workers' rights. By the 1980s, toxic waste dumping had become a major environmental crisis, prompting the Education Center to shift its primary focus toward addressing the crisis. From the 1990s to the present day, the Highlander Research and Education Center focused on fighting for the rights of immigrants and members of the LGBTQ+ community, while diverting their focus in 2013 for the uprise of the Black Lives Matter movement. The Highlander Education Center is still thriving today, providing resources for community leaders across the South. For over 2 decades, the Highlander Folk School fought against all odds for equality by training labor and civil rights leaders in a grassroots-style movement. The efforts of the Highlander School still show today as activists continue to fight using the methods popularized by the school. During Dr. Martin Luther King Jr.'s speech at the Highlander Folk School in 1957, he spoke of the school.
For 25 years you have stood with dauntless courage and fearless determination. You have given the South some of its most responsible leaders in this great period of transition.
This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine.